Welcome to the Salt Strong Fishing Podcast. Salt Strong has been helping saltwater anglers catch more fish in less time for 10 years and is now the largest and most trusted saltwater fishing community in America. If you want to catch more saltwater fish, then keep listening. If you want to speed up your fish catching results even faster, then join the private insider community at saltstrong.com. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
This will create the most positive impact on your life. And the best news is you can do it starting today. And anyone can do it, of any age, any gender, etc. Hey there, Joe Simons here with the Salt Strong Unchurched. Oh, I forgot to say like diamonds. Joe Simons, like diamonds, with the Salt Strong Unchurched podcast. I'm back in action. If you were listening last week, you heard that the week before we had the flu. Well, this week it's COVID. I don't know what the heck is going on here. I feel like the family is under attack, and it ties in with this episode on what will, in my opinion, be something that could have the most positive impact on your life. And so let me preface it by giving you the kind of the idea of what's happening here in our family as I'm actually recording this. So we went through the flu, whole family kind of got it, and we got over it. And then, no lie, like 3 days later, Shauna starts coming down with something, and it turns out it's COVID. So we had positive tests for flu and now positive for COVID. And all throughout this, we're looking at the calendar, and what's coming up is our trip that we do every year with one of our best friends for President's Day, because the kids got off school for President's Day. So we are going to, and I haven't left yet. So if you're hearing this after President's Day, I'll give an update if we made it or not. So we haven't gone. It's coming up as I'm pre-recording this, and the fear for my wife in particular is that we're all going to be sick and we're not going to be able to go. The other family is completely fine. We are not, or at least Sean is not. So just Shauna, just one person in our family has COVID, and so when she tested positive for COVID, my wife, who tends to worry, a little foreshadowing here, tends to worry a bit about stuff. She goes in like full out freak out mode. And I won't bore you with all the fine details, but it was to the point where I'm like having to kind of walk her off the back of this cliff. I'm like, babe. So she's like, oh my gosh, well, what if we get it and then we're gonna have to cancel this trip, and then our lives are basically going to be over and we're going to lose our friends. Like, I'm talking about, it went pretty deep, and I'm being a little sarcastic there, but I mean, some of the things that, she was throwing out, it was like the world was ending. And I said something that I've said to our kids a lot, and maybe you've said this before, and I was like, babe, in a year from now, we're not even going to remember this, regardless of what happens, right? Regardless if we make it or not. And it's not like this is a life or death situation. We're talking about COVID, and it's not even a really bad case. The flu, ironically, was worse than COVID. And I was like, if the absolute worst case happens and we are sick, we'll stay at home and enjoy ourselves like we've had to do before in the past. This is not the end of the world. And then she starts going into, oh my gosh, well, I'm the last time I had this is what, 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago. She's like, last time I had COVID, it was like the worst day ever in the surgery room. She does eye surgery for a living. She goes, it was horrible, and that's going to happen again. I'm like, well, babe, whoa, let's slow down here. One, you don't even have COVID. Two, like, why are you even assuming you're going to get it just because one person has it? She goes, oh no, I mean, once it's in the house, we're all getting it. So she's literally wearing an N95 mask this entire week, in the house, all the time, threatening to kick me out, even though I don't have it, right? Like, kick me out. You go stay in a little guest house, little cottage, house across the driveway. I'm like, what? Are you going to kick the whole family out? Like, it's like this. None of this stuff makes any sense. And it's not like we had some super expensive vacation that we can't get our money back. It's free. We're literally going to our friend's place every year. We kind of switch off and do some of the stuff. This time we're not even paying anything. And if anything, we're saving money on the gas driving up there. So you can see maybe where I'm going with this. To me, it was a ton of worry for really no reason. I mean, worrying about stuff that hasn't happened. And even if it did happen, meaning we all got COVID, and that's kind of the worst case scenario, and we all had to stay at home for the long weekend. That, to me, that's not something that I'm going to spend my time worrying about. And so I'm going to fast forward now through all that here just recently. Someone had told me about this thing called the Legacy Project by Cornell University. And this guy, Dr. Carl Pillamar, hope I'm pronouncing it right. Carl, in case you're listening, Dr. Carl Pillamar is kind of in head of this Legacy Project. You can Google it, just Cornell University Legacy Project, and Dr. Carl with a K. And what he did is he's been interviewing thousands of people that are in either nursing homes or in elder care, essentially people who are towards the end of their life, not dying per se, but towards closer to the end of their life than they are the middle or the beginning. So these are people who are in nursing homes and advanced ages and many times advanced illnesses. So this has been going on for a couple of years, interviewed thousands, and really just trying to find out their view on life, their look on life now versus how it was, things they might have regret, things they wish they did. And the one of the top things, I don't know if it was the number one, because I didn't see anything that said the number one, but it was one of the top things that came up over and over and over and over and over again in this Cornell Legacy Project was, this is from people who, once again, at the end of their years, they said, quote, "I wish I hadn't spent so much of my life worrying." Wow. I wish I hadn't spent so much of my life worrying, especially worrying about things that haven't even happened. And if they did, okay, cool, let's pivot and move from there. And I'm sharing, I haven't even shared this with my wife yet. And so I'm going to share this with my wife. So I think it's a good reminder to like, let's put focus on what's really important, right? I mean, our family, God, right? Yes, our health is important. And I'm not saying that we should belittle the flu or COVID or anything. At the same point, we shouldn't get so worried up and worked up about it that we're kicking spouses out of the house. And I'm not just picking on my wife here. We've all done crazy things. We've all made even crazy decisions because this kind of fear bug gets in our head of something we're worrying about. And I mentioned earlier, we tell our kids a lot. I'm probably the best at this, of telling the kids that are worried about something, whether it's grades or someone in their class not liking them or something that someone said to them, like, guys, you are not going to even remember this in a year from now. You might not even remember this in a month from now. That's certainly not a year from now. And you know what? We're really good about telling our kids or other people that, right? It's pretty easy to tell someone when you see it in a completely different lens, like, hey, what the heck are you worried about? Like, you're not going to remember this even probably tomorrow, let alone a year from now. Yet, it's always harder when it's us, right? And I've been in there. I mean, I've went through, panic attacks and anxiety issues for years, and it's very easy for other people to be like, dude, what you're having panic and essentially worry about something that doesn't exist and hasn't happened yet. Well, just get over it. You're not going to remember this in a year. Really, really easy for someone else to say it. And once again, I'm pretty good at it now. So I also put myself in their shoes to say, you know what, I've been there. But where I'm going with all this is we need to take our own advice. If we're willing to tell someone and can see something pretty clearly, if you take a step back and take a deep breath and be like, you know what, I'm probably not going to remember this in a year. It's probably going to have no impact on my life in a year, month, even 5 years, doesn't matter. Then why am I worrying about it? That's the question we all have to ask ourselves, right? It's a question my wife has to ask herself. And even let's put a different spin on this. Let's just say there had been an expensive trip, right? There had been some big thing that we saved up a lot of money for, and that was on the line. I still don't think it's worth worrying about. Something that hasn't even happened yet, right? And the absolute worst case is, we missed our trip. That still doesn't mean that our lives are over. It doesn't impact our relationship with our family. It doesn't impact our relationship with God. It shouldn't impact our marriage. These are the things we're saying, right, to ourselves are most important, right? What's most important to you? And if you're worrying about something that doesn't really impact any of that, and maybe it does, still, is it worth worrying about? Is it something that you're even going to be contemplating on your deathbed or in those last few years of your life? Is it something you're going to regret? Like, man, why did I spend so much time thinking about that and worrying about it? So worrying, I really do believe if we could just stop worrying as people, as friends and family members and wives and spouses and children of God, if we could just stop worrying and trust God, right? That trust that God has our steps already. I mean, they're already outlined for us. We can't see them. We don't know exactly what they are, but God already has this plan, and we don't have any patience. We get all amped up and worried about some of the smallest things. And this is something I'm going to be working on as well. Because once again, I'm good at dishing it out and telling them, hey, you're not going to remember this a year from now. But there have been things in business in particular that have worried me. And I've spent time worrying about it. And I've woke up late at night at 3 a.m, couldn't sleep. And, those are the things when I'm 90 years old, God willing, I know I'm not going to remember those moments of, man, like, why did I stay up till 3 a.m. worrying about that? That was so insignificant. Right. So what are the things you're worried about right now? Is there something that's keeping you up at night? Are there things that you're worried about health wise, relationship wise, maybe that haven't even happened, but might? I would say, man, take it off of your shoulders. Give it over to God and say, God, I'm going to trust that you are going to handle this the way I know you're going to handle it. You already have a plan, and I am not going to spend my energy and my time and my thoughts and my love and all my attention worrying about it. And I'm talking about in this one little instance with my wife. I mean, she spent the majority of the day kind of consumed by this and finally did let it go. And once again, I'm not picking on my wife, and babe, if you're listening to this, love you. It's just a learning lesson we all have to get through. And we've all done things like that where we get so worked up about something, and then our head, our mind is so powerful, and it's able to almost like create these visions and these ideas that haven't even happened and probably will never happen. And it kind of ends up being this just, whirlwind of negative thoughts and worry. And all of a sudden we're now like in a whole different ozone layer of worry and just, cloudiness where you can't even see what's really happening around you. And that's why I pull her out of there. I was like, babe, whoa, what? You're kicking me out of I'm not even the one who's sick. It's our daughter. What are you talking about? We're going to lose our friends? Well, no, none of this stuff is going to happen. And once again, we can all laugh about it because it's not us, but what have we done? What have you done that's like that? Or what has your spouse done? What is someone close to you that you've seen them just become an absolute worrywart over really kind of small things? I really do believe that it could be the most positive impact on our lives. And the great news is, like I said, anyone could do it. You can do it today. It doesn't cost money. It just a little bit of brain power just by saying, you know what, I'm not going to worry about this. And the cool part is we got this awesome person named God, right? We have this awesome person named Jesus that are just dying to take away all of this worry, all this anxiety, all this fear away from us. So why don't we just give it to them and trust them, right? And I know it's easier said than done. I know from going through the anxiety attacks, that's what I should have been doing. And yet it was tough for me to do it. So I get it. But I got over that stuff. I'm able to see it. And a lot of that just was putting in the reps of saying, God, I'm going to trust you with this. I'm not going to let it worry me. And anytime my head, right, because it's a lot of the stuff is in our head, goes down this rabbit hole of fear and uncertainty and worry, I'm going to just stop it. I'm going to slam on the brakes and just stop it and hand it over to you. So that is the episode for today. Stop worrying. There is really nothing you can do by worrying. I don't know that it can even help. If anything, it only makes things a whole lot worse, and especially to worry about things that haven't even happened, which is really what worry is, right? You're worrying about something that is in the future. So we're not going to change it with the amount of worry. That no matter how hard you worry, you're not going to change the outcome. That is proven. And when you do tell your kids that, or anyone for that matter, that, hey, you know what? Let's not worry about this. This is something that's going to be insignificant a year from now. Live that out yourself. Like I said, it's probably one of the things I'm going to work on and probably have the hardest time with because it's a whole lot easier to tell someone else to do it. But man, that Cornell University, the Legacy Project, it's funny how God puts all these things right in front of your face at the right time. It was just after this, kind of blow up with my wife about worrying about this. When I came across this, I was like, wow, one of the top things that older people regretted was worrying too much. They spent too much of their life worrying. So let that be the message today. I hope it was helpful. I pray before every one of these that this just hits the right person. And so I know there's some listening to this that has been worrying about something that hasn't happened yet, because worrying is all about thinking about something in the future that hasn't happened yet. And I'm hoping this is able to alleviate some of that tension, some of that anxiety, some of that fear and uncertainty, and that you can visually just watch it leaving you and handing it up to God. Just say, God, I am giving this to you. I am taking it away from me. I realize it is not going to help me, and I know you got my back. So, love you guys. Hope this was a helpful episode, and I will talk to you on the next Unchurched.
Want more fishing tips, shortcuts, and tools so you can catch more fish per trip? Then head over to saltstrong.com now and join the movement. Tight lines, and thanks for listening.